What it is, y'all, it is your old boy Pilk, and I'm going to be back today with more Danmachi. Today we're going to talk about Grand War. Now, I'll go ahead and wrap myself out. This is the laziest team I think I've ever put forth in a video. Absolutely laziest team. Period. Basically, if you, the long and the short of this team, pay attention mostly to what I'm going to say about the new units. As far as Lena on the front goes, she's a wasted unit. I could put anybody else there. My biggest problem if I put anybody there defensively, we're not going to take enough damage. If I put anybody there, else there, they're kind of like, this team is so good, it's all-encompassing. We'll get into the fight and I'll show you what I'm talking about. And Winnie, we're going to bring her in, and on skill 2, we're going to do her AoE and single target buff. The big downside to her on this one is that I do have better units that do an AoE, or I do a single target exclusive buff. But it's only 5% more. It's really not worth my time to fight an uphill battle adding new units in here. At this juncture, I'm literally just going to use this team, the same team that you've seen me use in 7th Zone 100 times over. This is a very flat, plain, ordinary, everyday team that is used for everything. There's one very good reason, though, why I'm going to use this team. And that's because Haruhime and Belle are both up for grabs right now in the 4.5 anniversary banners. If you do not have these units, you need them. And I'm going to say this very loudly. She's lacking, the Winnie unit here is lacking a little bit in her buff skill. She would be really, really, really good, on the general 7th Zone teams that I build, just because I can set a skill flow. It doesn't matter whether it's A or E single target, we take it out just with auto runs. If I had the extra 5% here, this would be a different fight. Also note that I do not have the 20% water assists. This is an older Hephaestus that does 15% water damage, and the older Hestia that does 15% water resist. If I had the 20%, once again, this would be a different fight. So I am held back a little bit, but I don't want you to get disgruntled, because I'm going to show you guys why I think this team is just nuts. Absolutely nuts. Now, once again, I'm going to say this about Line. I'm going to do her skill 2, because with her skill 2, that's going to give us 33% SA gauge charge, counter rate, critical rate, and penetration rate plus 20%. It's going to be kind of nice. Problem is I'm going to bring Mikoto in here and do her skill 1, which is going to give us SA gauge 33%. So really, the main thing that Line's brought in for, Mikoto already does, and kind of makes her redundant. Now, the other buffs will be kind of nice for the 2 turns that we're going to have them. Remember I said it was a lazy team build? It's a very lazy team build. I just, as we get into the fight, I'll kind of explain why the only other units I could think to put in here would actually be poor fits. And I need all the assist slots. So for me, this is going to be kind of a thing. Now, for most of you guys out there that are only now getting into the game and that don't have the new Mikoto, you can put any water unit you have here and they'll fit just fine. They'll be beautiful. They'll be fantastic. And here's the thing. I have to use Mikoto here just to kind of show you how just insane this water team is. Mikoto will come up to grabs in a couple of weeks. Aisha will come up for grabs next week. Belle and Haruhime are both here right now, and I want you to pay close attention to the end result of this team, because this is going to be hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. So, skill 2 with Line, skill 1 with everybody else, just to build up their buff stacks. Let's go. Once again, this team is super easy, and it's almost cheating to bring them in here. Now, notice that we're not taking an insane amount of damage from this opponent. The only other unit that I could think to put in Line's spot would be a defensive unit. If I put defenses there, or if I did any more debuffing on our opponent, we wouldn't take damage. And the problem is, if we're taking zeros, we're not countering. So, by putting someone else in that slot, I'm literally taking away all the counter damage that we'd get over the next 9 turns. And believe me, counter damage is going to be important. But I'll explain a little more when we get to the end of the match. As stated before, I'm going to do skill 2 with Winnie here. Now, skill 2, once again, that is 20% per AoE and single target buff. I have units that do 25% single target, but I'm too lazy to put them on the team. So, let's do skill 2 with everybody else here. And that is just going to be the remainder of our buff stack and our debuff stack. Notice how little effort I'm putting into this. And we're going to make this opponent look like an absolute joke. Just trust me on that one. It's going to be hilarious. Now, turn 3, I do need to do Dawn Wind with Haruhime because Haruhime doesn't have 33% Disengage. We need to do that. Plus, we've got buffs running out on most of these units then. Now, this unit's good. Let's see. Belle's fine. Actually, Aisha's fine too. Mikoto? Everybody's fine on their buff stacks, so never mind. So actually, no, we're not running out of buffs anyway. But when Haruhime comes in, she needs the 33%, and her extra action after this is going to give her all that buff stack that we need. So we're going to be good there. Basically, her extra actions, they replicate buffs, and her skill 3 will replicate debuffs. So we're going to do skill 2 with her. Everybody else is going to move on to skill 3. Why that? Well, it's a single target fight. We need our single target skills. But more importantly, and this is what's really awesome about Belle, Belle gets 80% per physical resistance debuff on our opponent. And our opponent not only has the physical resistance debuff on the adventure side, also the assist side. This gets a 160% buff. It's nuts. Then we've got Aisha. Now, remember, that's the Belle and Haruhime that are for grabs now. And they get better. Believe me, they get even better. It's nuts. Aisha, this is the unit that's coming in here shortly. She gets 80% as well per water attack damage buff. She's got a water attack damage buff on the adventure and the assist side. She gets 160%. Mikoto, poor Mikoto, just gets debuff replication and an extra action, a mid-water magic attack, which removes strength and magic buffs on our opponent. So if our opponent does buff its strength and magic, it's going to take that down. Now, if we take a look here, our opponent is predominantly weak to magic, but notice we're using mostly a physical team with one magic unit. That is by design. That is literally to show you how insane this water team is, so that if you've not summoned on this water team, I'm going to show you right now in this match why you absolutely must. It's pretty nutty. So magic resistance down 40%, strength and magic are both down 40%, water attribute risk is down 40%, critical rates down 40%, penetration rates down 40%, one unit resist is down 20%, AGL is down 35%, physical resist is down 40%. It's nutty. It's totally crazy. All right, so we're going to replicate all that, and we're going to give Haruhime the 33% SAH charge. Let's go. Now, from this point on, I'm not even going to mention Belle, Aisha, or Mikoto, because Belle, Aisha, and Mikoto are literally just going to replicate the same skills over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. They're literally going to do skill 3 all the way up to turn 9, when we're going to do a quad SA. Now, Haruhime normally would go do Blowing Wind, but since Mikoto's on the team, I don't have to do debuff replication. I can jump over here, do her skill 1, and do critical rate, penetration rate, and counter rate 30%. Once again, negating everything we did with Line. In 2 turns, Line has been completely made irrelevant. And this is why I say I really could have fit somebody else there. I could have done a better job. Just didn't kind of really want to. And believe me, it's not going to affect this. We're going to S-clear this, and we're going to laugh at this. We probably could get a turn 7 kill on this opponent if I had all the 20% assists and I had the right sacks on this team. But right now, like with this team, it's just going to walk through this and just crush everything in their path. So let's go. Haruhime skill 1, everybody else skill 3. Let's go. And all we're going to do now is we're going to go to Haruhime skill 3, and we're going to build up the quad SA. We're going to build it up as fast as we possibly can because the long and the short of it is we just need it. So Haruhime is going to go skill 3. Everybody else is skill 3. Let's keep going. And at this point, we're pretty much on autopilot. Now, Haruhime is going to run out of her Dawn Wind buff, and we do need to have that because that's going to buff her. Basically, it's going to buff everybody's SA gauge charge. Hers mostly, but everybody's as well. So on this turn, Dawn Wind is going to be down to 1 turn, so I need to redo that. So I'm going to do skill 2 with her. Everybody else still skill 3. Remember what I said? This was kind of a gimme at this point. We're literally just now going through the paces. All right. That beat that. Bam. Bam. All right. We're going to go back to skill 3 with Haruhime. Turn 7. I'm going to do it again in turn 8. And then turn 9, we're going to quad SA. Now, notice how low the opponent's health is. I could have done a triple on turn 7 and then done an attack on turn 8 and probably murdered him. In fact, if I had 20% assists, I could probably do a triple on turn 7 and just out and out kill him. But I'm going to do the quad. I'm going to do the quad for one very good reason. I want you to pay close attention to what I'm doing here. Okay? So those of you guys that are asking, should I summon on the anniversary units? This new Haruhime does 120% strength and magic on her SA. Belle does 100% water attack damage on his SA. That means now Aisha and Mikoto both have 120% of whatever their base stat is and 100% of their elemental stat. Now, Mikoto first is going to do 100% skill damage per magic buff. She's going to have both magic buffs, so that becomes 200%. She's bonkers, she's nutty, and I cannot get enough of her. But, pay close attention to Aisha. Even though she's AoE, she's foes plural. Remember, foes plural tends to hit a lot softer. There's very, very little comparison between the single target SA and the AoE SA. AoE SAs tend to be much weaker than single targets. But notice Aisha has that 80% buff skill on her water attack damage. That means that's going to be 160%. Let's go. Haruhime does her buff. Now, Belle's going to do his buff, and he also gets an attack with this. Let's see what he gets. 1.3 mil, not a bad hit. Now, Aisha, I'm going to jump right to I'm going to let her do her thing, and I'm going to hype this up. Remember, she's AoE. And AoEs tend to hit a little bit lighter. Now, Belle did still hit for 1.3. Let's see what she does. .8. And actually, I expected a little more out of her, but to be fair, she's not a plant killer. 2.8 is probably the biggest AoE attack that you could possibly get here. I can't think of anybody that would hit better or hit harder. Mikoto, on the other hand, 5 million. And her opponent still isn't dead, but that attack will do it. Oh no, is he still living? Okay, I was about to say. Now, I want you to bear in mind, had I had the 20% assists, had I had the right single target damage, once again, I probably could have done a triple and killed him on turn 7, or at least something pretty close. So those of you guys that are asking me, should you summon for Belle? Should you summon for Haruhime? Yes, absolutely. And when Aisha gets here, don't let her slip through your fingers either. You do want to max limit break these units. Pretty much that's that. If you're not sold now, I don't know what to tell you. These units are absolutely bonkers, absolutely nutty, and absolutely crazy. Let's finish this off with a daily 11 draw. See what we get here. Okay. Gold door. Now, I've gotten 2 days in a row, I've gotten 4 stars, so I'm really not expecting anything major here. This should be a cooldown, and by all means, I don't deserve anything here. So, let's just see if we get anything awesome. You guys do your dailies with me, and let me know what you got in the comments section on your dailies, because that would be kind of awesome. I'd really love to hear some great success of people getting 4 stars and stuff like that. That'd be so much fun. Here we go. Hephaestus. I was really hoping. Alright, so yeah, that's about as bad as a summon can get. But for now, that is going to be the video. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments section down below. Like, comment, share, all that good stuff, and I'll be back with more Danmachi for you guys really soon.